So hello and welcome, Josh here. So today I'm joined by Brad Wood from GHD. Brad, thanks for joining me.
No worries, Josh.
So Brad, before we dive in asking you a few questions, maybe just tell everyone a little bit about your role at GHD, how many people you look after and kind of what you do in your day-to-day.
So my role at GHD is the market leader for environmental services in South Queensland, and I look after, it's roughly about 100 staff across a wide range of environmental services.
Okay, yeah, awesome. You enjoy it?
Yes, I've been at GHD for nearly 15 years, and it's been a great place to work.
Yeah, good. So Brad and I have been working together, coaching now for about 4 months. So I've just got some questions to ask Brad, just a bit about his journey with me and how it sort of helped him in that leadership role, looking after so many people at GHD. So mate, what have been the benefits of us working together over the past 4 months?
Look, what it's really boiled down to is my approach to how I was working was probably unsustainable. I was running out of energy at the end of the day, and really the types of things we've worked on in terms of how I approach my work day and look at the ways in which I can conserve some of that energy and allow my team to grow simultaneously. It's been a pretty interesting journey, challenging some of my preconceived notions about how things need to be, but ultimately we've got to a place where I've regained some of that energy and confidence as well.
Yeah, good. And in terms of your leadership position, so obviously there's a technical element to what you do, but also there's a leadership role that we've really sort of explored. So how's it sort of helped you become a better leader as well?
I think some of the stuff we've been working on with regard to personality types and how to lead across a wide range of personality types has probably been the thing that's allowed me to change the way I've led. There's adjusting your own behaviour to make sure that you're getting the most out of each individual, and you're not expecting them to behave in a way that is exactly the way that you would handle a certain situation has been quite important.
Yeah. So just for everyone's benefit, Brad and I've kind of explored the personality profiling, helping him understand his sort of natural personality style. So previously, before I work with people, everyone thinks that they have to be all things to all people, and you can get quite burnt out and quite tired by trying to be all things to all people. And when you kind of, and this is what Brad and I worked on initially, when you have that kind of realization that you've got a natural personality style and you're naturally strong at certain elements of being an engineer and being a leader, versus and you've got weaknesses as well, and when you can recognize that you are naturally a certain way, and you've got team members that are all naturally a certain way, the more that you can have that realization and awareness, and work with your team around their strengths, you kind of get to operate in your natural personality style. You're doing the stuff that you love. As a leader, you can delegate to your team the things that you're not so good at, which would be their strengths. And so it's kind of a win-win for everyone. Everyone's not trying to be all things to all people. You're playing to your personality style strengths. That's kind of what we're talking about. And in terms of your team, how has us working together helped your team perform better and that kind of thing?
I think, and just leading on from what you were saying there, some of my behaviours in terms of being always available to answer questions, from my team, being quite involved in every little aspect of what they were doing. In a lot of ways, that's been probably stifling to their growth. It's been difficult for me to let go of that a little bit, but Josh has been very good at encouraging me to set some boundaries and to allow team members to take up extra responsibility and ultimately have growth opportunities themselves.
Yeah, and one of the things that we identified very early on was Brad's need to really be there for his team at all times, often to the detriment of his workload and his energy, so to speak. And so when we kind of worked on the fact that the more that you the more that you spoon feed your team, the more they're actually stifling their growth. So there's actually that element piece around setting healthy boundaries, allowing your team to go out there and figure things out on their own, come back to you, work through the answer, go out on their own again. That's actually way better for their growth than you giving them the answers all the time. So from a leadership perspective, spoon feeding your team's actually not helping them grow at all. So when we kind of shifted that for Brad, like I think him and his team really started to grow. And now to GHD and the overall business, like how do you feel like us in the last 4 months, like working together has really benefited GHD?
I think, so to give a bit of context, my role at GHD, a lot of it is to be setting long-term strategy for where the business is going and making sure that, you know, our strategic imperatives are aligned with, you know, where the market for our services is. So that takes a lot of thought, and it's a role that, you know, if I'm being reactive and not allowing myself time to do that, you know, that part of the role can often go by the wayside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the great thing that Josh has allowed me to do is, by giving back some of that ownership to my team, I've been able to set aside time to look at that strategic part of the business, which hopefully will have the effect of sustaining the business long term.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think in coming back to talking about people's natural strengths and personality styles, you know, you've got a naturally very strategic, big picture thinker part of your personality that, you know, wasn't really getting the opportunity to be used very much, because you're just constantly in the day-to-day of helping the team, and your door's always open to your team and answering questions and putting out fires and that kind of thing. So the more that you can enable your team to think for themselves and be in their unique strengths of their personality style, so your team's firing, it means that you're needed less and you're able to actually step back and focus on the strategy of the market sector.
Yep. Yeah,
super important. Your biggest breakthrough? What's been your biggest breakthrough in us working so far?
Look, it's probably around analysing whether some of the long-held beliefs that I've had about myself and how I work, analysing whether those are actually getting the results that I've been wanting. And in a lot of instances, the answer is no.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes quite a bit of honesty with yourself to admit that. But you know, unless I change how I behave and react in certain circumstances, I'll continue to feel frustrated and resentful. So what Josh has taught me is to let go of some of that stuff, some of the preconceived ideas about how things need to be done, change my approach, and free me up to move forward in a different direction.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And then, like, the work we've done the last 4 months, Brad's really moved a lot. So it's, you know, it's awesome to see. And so, mate, finally, like, what do you appreciate about my coaching style and my approach to how we work together?
Oh, look, you know, in terms of your specific personality traits, I mean, you're warm, genuine, collaborative, but more importantly, you've got a knack for being able to intuitively understand, you know, what some of the issues that a person's facing, and draw some of those out without being too confrontational. Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, that there's the risk of pushing too fast too quickly and someone, you know, not coming on the journey with you. But I think, you know, encouraging me to think deeply and honestly about some of the things that I've been doing and whether that's actually going to work for me long term, I've really valued that. And you know, I think that's a lot of the reason why we've had such good results.
Yeah, great. Well, any other questions, mate? Like, yeah, the work's ongoing. We're always kind of exploring ourselves and peeling back those layers to understand sort of deeper beliefs and how we act and operate and behave. But yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you for the last 4 months, and to many more, no doubt.
Thank you, Josh. You know, it's been a good journey, and not finished yet, but hopefully we'll kick some more goals together.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.